Oh, busted. Oh.
I'm kidding. So we hear muscle weighs more than fat, okay? Well, does a pound of gold and a pound of feathers weigh the same? Yeah, they weigh a pound. What we're really talking about is density. So 5 pounds of fat, you can see the volume that takes up versus 5 pounds of muscle. So you could lose a pound of fat, gain a pound of muscle, or let's say 10 pounds of fat, gain 10 pounds of muscle. You get on the scale and you say, I've worked hard for 4 months. I weigh the same. What's wrong? What am I doing wrong? But unless you take a look at the composition of your body weight, whether it's fat mass or fat-free mass, you're not going to get the whole picture on whether you've improved your health or not. So I'm going to talk today about splitting the body up. We're going to do this simply. We're going to partition it, our body weight, into fat mass and everything else. Everything else is going to be called fat-free mass. So fat-free mass, what are we talking about? Muscles, bones, organs. Do these things sound important to us, to our health and wellness? Yes, they do. Fat-free mass is healthy mass, okay? You don't want to lose fat-free mass. And in a lot of instances, we'll see, you might want to gain fat-free mass, even if it means stepping on the scale and weighing more on the scale. Fat-free mass, good. Fat mass, not all bad, because you need a certain minimum amount of fat to be healthy. But we're going to think of fat-free mass as that good, healthy weight that we're going to try to keep track of, instead of just total body weight. So body fat percentage, it's a key component of health, not the only key component of health. And if you look right below that, active and obese people have lower mortality rates than sedentary, normal weight people. That's a big concept that I'm not sure everyone either believes or thinks about when talking about body fat percentage and body weight. It's a component of health, not the component. And however, if you are obese, you are at risk for getting coronary artery disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, these types of diseases that are associated with being overweight and obese. There actually was a movement, might have been in the 90s, called Fat and Fit. And it was, I guess, trying to get at the point of you can still increase your health and wellness being active and fit, even if maybe you're not in the ideal body fat percentage range.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Blood pressure. So you're on blood pressure medication,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And I recall in the past thinking once you're on blood pressure medication, you're always on it. Is it possible to get off it? If
Yes.
you lose weight?
I've seen many examples. Yep.
Good to know.
And the other thing is, if you're on blood pressure medication and you decide you're going to radically change your lifestyle, whether it's activity or eating or a combination of both, you need to stay on top of that, because we've had a couple cases where people have lost a bunch of weight. Now they're over-medicated. They have not readjusted their blood pressure. They've not gone back to their physician. And we've had a couple people pass out, and then it ends up being that their blood pressure was way too low and they were over-medicated, and they either had the dosage decreased or gone off it. But yeah, I've seen plenty of examples over the years. So what is a good body fat percentage? It's going to depend on the source you look at. If you open different textbooks or different journals, you're going to see some different figures. but generally speaking, about 25% body fat for a male and over, or 32% in a female or over, is considered obese. Now remember I said not all fat is bad. You can be unhealthy by having too low percent body fat. For men, below 5% is not healthy. And actually, if you're at 5 or 6 or 7%, you're probably not feeling as well as you would be if you were at 10% or so. For females, it's 12% for the level of healthiness. You need at least 12% body fat to be healthy. When I'm talking with people we have in the fitness center, I usually use 10 to 20% for males as a healthy body fat percentage. Females, 15 to 25%. Now, again, the majority of these people are college aged. There's a lot of information and data using college age people in all sorts of research, because where's all the research being done? It's being done on college campuses, and they get their subjects right there on campus. So there's not as much definitive information as we go through the decades of life on what healthy body fat percentages are. But it's pretty well established, 10 to 20, 15 to 25 for college age males and females is a good healthy range. You can see that's a pretty big range. Okay, you can be healthy at 10, healthy at 20, healthy at 15, healthy at 25. That's a big range. Okay, you don't have to necessarily think lower is better, and you shouldn't think lower is better. How do we measure body composition? Anyone remember if you saw this talk in the summer, what I said the only way to really measure body composition? We have to dissolve you in acid, okay? And then measure the percent fat in that sludge. But that was done originally with cadavers donated to science, okay? That's how they figured out body fat percentages. Everything else is an estimation of body fat percentage. There are some popular ways to estimate it. I don't want to get too far into the details of it. We have skin fold calipers, where we take a pinch of skin at several points on your body and measure the thickness of it. So what we're doing here is we're measuring the fat right underneath your skin, the subcutaneous body fat, and then we're making assumptions about whole body fat. But again, this research has been done, and if you're having someone take skin fold measurements on you and they've been trained and they've done it for years, it's going to be about as accurate as you're going to get. Bioelectrical impedance. Right here, here's an example where you hold it. A lot of us have seen the scales where you get on the scale barefoot and it takes it. You're running a current through your body. You can't feel it. And fat is an insulator of electricity. It's going to slow that current down. Water is a good way to carry electricity. So the more fat you have, the slower that current is going through your body. So this machine is measuring how fast this current travels through your body. There are a lot of environmental factors that can affect the accuracy of this, but the good news is it's easy to do, and you don't need to be trained, and you can do it yourself. You don't have to find someone else to do it. Hydrostatic weighing, that's underwater weighing. And nowadays you're not going to see that unless you're at a major research university or a specialized clinic. And there's a lot that goes into underwater weighing, and it can be tricky to get someone underwater holding still with blowing all the oxygen out of their lungs. But the moral of this story is, if you can find someone that's trained, skin fold calipers, takes a couple minutes, that's going to be probably your best bet. And again, they're all estimations. So let's take an example here of someone. I've come up with a generic person that might come into our fitness center. 54-year-old woman, 5'5", 143, wants to lose weight. Okay, I see this a lot. Well, I don't want to just take the scale weight, as I've shown. We don't know what the fat-free mass is. So we're going to do skinfold analysis, and we come up with body fat of 28%. And we remember 32 is obese, 15 to 25 for a college-age woman is a good healthy range. This, give her a little slack. She's a few years older than college age, but she's somewhere in between the good range and obese. So now I said today we're going to do the objective part of things and not so much the subjective. So we're going to actually dig in and do a little bit of math, simple arithmetic here. So we find out that 40 pounds is fat mass, and we have 103 pounds of fat-free mass. Okay? Now we got a place to start with. I'm going to recommend exercise program that's going to balance aerobic exercise and have an emphasis on strength training. Why strength training? There are a lot of good reasons for that answer of yes, strength training. One of them is you can increase your fat-free mass with strength training. Very important for a woman in her 50s, think bone mineral density. Also think strength. As we age, being stronger has a huge impact on how we live, if we live independently, and how long we live. You want to build a reservoir of strength as you go through the decades. So we can increase fat-free mass with strength training. And remarkably, our subject followed our recommendations. And 3 months later, comes back and says, I've gained 2 pounds. What am I doing wrong? Right? Because still thinking scale weight is king. But say, don't panic. We do skin fold body fat analysis, 24%. Do the math. So here's a comparison. She's lost over 5 pounds of fat and gained over 7 pounds of fat-free mass. Even though she's gained 2 pounds of body weight, she's healthier. She has increased her fat-free mass. Okay? She's decreased her fat mass. She's 24%. She's in that healthy body fat range. This is a great job. If we didn't do the body fat analysis, there are some people that I could talk till I'm blue in the face. They're only going to zero in that they gained 2 pounds. And then that is not, to them, a victory. And if you're able to look at the fat-free mass and understand how important it is to your health, now we can come out and say, excellent, we did a great job in 3 months' time, we're healthier, and we have a victory, and now we have someone that has bought into mixing strength training in with aerobic exercise.
Joel, when you do this, do you do the body measurements too to sort of give you that
We typically just do this, but we have done body, you're talking about like circumferences on people. We have done that, yeah.
Your focus is I want to lose weight.
Right.
And then you gain weight, but you get...
Lose inches.
Right.
Right.
Lose inches.
Yeah.
And I can see...
Because of
I get it.
the density and the volume thing of the fat-free mass is more dense and takes up less volume than the fat mass. We have done that on specific individuals that still aren't buying in after all this objective math here. But yeah, most of the time we want to try to get to this point. And we're circling fat-free mass and indicating that you've increased it and that. And most of the time that does the trick. But there are individuals where we will do some circumference measurements. And by a change like this, they're going to know. They're going to feel that. They're going to notice their clothes are fitting differently. Questions? Okay, so now let's figure out, well, what do I, what's a good target weight for me? How do I adjust those things? We're going to introduce a little more arithmetic into this situation. We got another subject. 34-year-old male, 5'9", 237, 28% body fat. Remember with males, 10 to 20 is a good range. So this guy is a little chunky right now. Recreational weight trainer. He's been lifting weights. That's what he does to stay active. And he's thinking, you know what? I might have a high school reunion coming up in a few years. I want to get down to my high school weight. That would require him losing 60 pounds. Now, let's assume that he started strength training when he was an adult and not when he graduated high school. That'll make this a little more believable. This equation is how you plan your weight loss. And here's the assumption that fat-free mass stays the same. So if this could, well, it says weight loss planning, okay, so it could also be for someone wanting to gain weight. Then we could, we get into a whole nother ballgame of gaining fat-free mass. So we're thinking in terms of targeting a weight loss here with this particular weight planning. You need to know most of these and find one you don't know. So you need to know what you weigh and what your current body fat percentage is. And then you need to know either what weight you want to weigh or what percent body fat you want to be. And sometimes this can be a point where people make some mistakes. So what I mean by this is he wanted to weigh 60 pounds less because that's what he weighed in high school. So that puts him at 177. And he's currently 237. And we did the Skinfold analysis, and he's at 28%. So we plug in that information in there, and we're going to solve for desired body fat percentage. 3.6, is that A, realistic, and B, healthy? No, not at all. So, what's going on here? He's got more fat-free mass now than he did back in high school. And when we do this equation, again, we're assuming fat-free mass stays the same. So he needs to recalibrate what he wants to weigh. He can't just pick a body weight. Okay, he needs to consider a healthy body fat percentage. So hopefully he's got someone that can guide him. Let's target 15% body fat. That's right in the middle of that 10 to 20 range. So we plug that in instead of the desired body weight, and we solve for the desired body weight, and we come up with, well, he'd weigh about 201 pounds would be a target weight for him. So he was off by several pounds, okay, on what he was targeting. It was an unrealistic target for him. All right, the power of math, right? To figure out where we want to go. After 2 months, he's been going crazy for 2 months. He's dieting hard. He's doing tons of cardio. He's trying to lose weight, right? He's focused on losing weight. Well, look what happened. He did lose weight. He also lost fat-free mass. He lost over 7 pounds of that hard-earned muscle. He probably didn't lose bone density, but it was probably mostly muscle that he ended up losing because he wasn't, either he wasn't providing his body enough protein, or he wasn't doing as much strength training, or he was holding down his whole calorie intake, or a combination of those three. Okay, he's going too far over the edge. Okay, he wants these results right away, and he's just going to work really hard, but not necessarily really smart. Okay, remember, fat-free mass, we want to at least hold on to that. That's the healthy weight. We want to hold on to that even when we're making a change by losing body weight. We want to hold on to the fat-free mass. So, we tell them, you're not on the right track here. You're going too far. You need to you know, and I'll talk with him about what he's eating, and maybe even have him track his meals for 3 days or something. Or I can just give him the advice up front, and he'll just go, oh yeah, well, I haven't been eating any meat, you know. So he's not getting, let's say, enough protein to support that lean body mass during this whole process. He's probably not doing the strength training correctly or enough of it. So we have a little talk about that. And we got to show him those numbers, though, to convince him that, because he's getting on the scale and he's weighing less, right? So in his mind, well, I'm losing weight. So we got to show him with those numbers what's going on, that he is needing a little bit of a tweak to what he's doing. Let's see. I don't know if I have any other. Was that my last slide? Okay. So I wanted to leave a little time for questions. Any other questions? We had that good one about the blood pressure. Yeah. Have I convinced us that you need to know more than just a scale weight? Okay, then that's all. If that's what you take away from here, then that was a victory. Yes, Mary.
If you're on a weight loss diet, whatever, how often should you be checked to see how you're doing with
Good question.
body mass?
Bare minimum a month, the first month. Because unless you're doing something really, really, really drastic, but then if you were, and I heard that ahead of time, I would try to dissuade you from that. I would give it a month, 4 weeks, before you recheck the body composition. It's going to take some time. It's not something that you see right away in a week. The other thing is, I didn't really talk about it, but weighing yourself, if you're trying to do this, you need to weigh yourself under similar conditions. Most people will pick right before they go to bed, first thing in the morning, something like that. And you really should weigh yourself a few times. If I drink 1 bottle of water, that's a pound. Okay, water was part of the fat-free mass, right? I drink a bottle of water, I get on the scale, I've just changed my body weight by a pound. There's stuff that's in your digestive tract that weighs, that we need to kind of have under similar conditions if we're really getting objective about this as well. Don't weigh yourself right after you had went to the Chinese buffet on Friday with the guys in IT. They'll like this, I know they're going to be watching this. Unless you do that on such a regular basis that would be a controlled situation. Anything else? Questions? Fat-free mass is good.
Yeah, with that one guy when in high school, if he wanted to get down to his high school weight, chances are he was probably that height, and to get down to that weight, he was probably too skinny then.
He was skinnier, yeah. So what happened is he aged and he took up strength training. He built some more lean body mass. Bone mineral density probably increased over the years. For one thing, when you weigh more, your skeleton adjusts and it gets stronger. Also, with the recreational strength training, he's been increasing his muscle mass too. And as he age, you kind of do that a little bit as well. So yeah, when he was in high school, you'll see a lot of guys that were skinny and then they're not skinny 10, 15 years later. So you need to also take into account the changes in the fat-free mass. Otherwise, you're setting yourself up for failure if you want to get down to your high school weight. I see that example a lot. You know, they think whatever I was when I graduated was the ultimate in health, but you're a different person than you were back then. So you got to account for that.
My weight's always been pre-pregnancy weight. That's my goal.
Yeah, Amy.
Joe, how do you determine the ratio of aerobic exercise with strength training? And I know that can be very individual.
Yeah.
What your ultimate goals are.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But how we would determine it is on an individual basis, asking questions, what your goals are in doing a little testing and seeing what your body fat percentage and fat-free mass is. But it would depend on your background. I will say, in the younger women now, it's not such an issue. But women, I would say 40s and up now, you really need to push the strength training or again, there are exceptions, but you really need to get that idea across to them is a very good form of exercise that's going to impact your health in a big way. And so I've noticed now, these women that are in their 20s now, they grew up having strength training in a high school gym class or in their sports or both. So it's a natural thing for them, which is a good thing. So the ratio is going to depend on what we're starting from and where you need to go. But I know that's it's not a objective answer, but it really depends on the individual. And so we'd help you with those recommendations. If you're doing, for health and wellness, if you're doing 20 to 30 minutes of cardiovascular exercise and 20 to 30 minutes of strength training, you're doing that several times a week, 3-4 times a week, over time, you're gonna be healthy. And then it would be kind of tweaking those things if you want to emphasize one over the other in a certain situation. Thanks for coming.